Good afternoon. My name is Pete Larson. I'm a physical therapist, local guy. I work in St. Paul, and I'm here to talk to you today, to your company and to you as employees, about a way for you guys to do just what my presentation is stating, to work smarter and to live better. So we're looking at health and wellness, some ideas that I've come up with that might help you guys achieve some goals, both at work and both at home, that will be mutually beneficial. Um, I'm going to get into a little bit more about my presentation or about what I'm talking about in just a minute. But I wanted to start off by talking to you all about why I'm here. What brought me in to here today to talk with you all. Why it's not somebody else or why I'm here at all. And so these two guys kind of sum it up from my perspective. On the left here, this is my grandfather, Donovan Palmquist, and on the right is Todd Anderson. And both of these two men were very instrumental in my life, especially my growing years, my youth years. And they have a lot in common. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about them and why they're pertinent to me and ultimately to you all. My grandfather was a Lutheran pastor. He was very successful in terms of work. He did very well. He was also kind of the patriarch of the family for my entire side of the family. He represented the character ethic to a T, in the sense that he was a hard worker. He was positive. He was humble. He gave back. He was modest in his way of living. He was enthusiastic about life and about relationship building and helping others, and really was a glowing light in the world from everyone in my family's perspective. And unfortunately, he died in 2004 when I was a senior in high school, and he died of a massive stroke that he sustained while he was having a surgery on his heart. He was having what's called an angioplasty, which is when they go in and clean out some of the heart, the blood vessels around the heart. And he had a stroke on the table and ended up dying the next day. He was 75, so some might say he lived a pretty good life. And while that's true, I can tell you he was full of life. Yet he was nowhere near feeling his age, and really he was gone much too soon. In our perspective, he's left a big hole in a lot of my family, in their hearts. My grandmother, his wife, is still alive. She's still really struggling with not having him around. It was my mom's dad, and that's tough for her as well, to lose a person like that. Todd Anderson was my basketball coach growing up. I think he started coaching me when I was in fourth grade, and he pretty much kept coaching me until I was a senior in high school, and in fact, still helped me a little bit in terms of some coaching, and I played basketball with his son all through all those years. And again, one of those people that really was a role model to me growing up. And he had a similar fate to my grandpa. He was actually out on a bike ride getting his dog physically prepared for the upcoming hunting season for geese or pheasants or ducks or whatever he hunted. And he was out on a bike ride and ended up having a massive heart attack during that bike ride and died. And again, he was an otherwise very healthy male, good weight, seemed to be doing all the right things. Why do these things happen? And that's why I'm here. I'm here to talk about, some information that I think if these guys would have known when they were younger, might have helped. You never know, but it might have helped them to still be here today. And certainly it's driven me to understand, how can I be of help to others to make sure that they don't suffer that type of fate, or that they put the fate in their own hands to the biggest degree that they can. Okay, so with that in mind, now that you know my why, let's get into a little bit of what I wanted to talk to you today about, and really it's healthcare and why our healthcare system is needing a massive overhaul. So we'll start here. This is the problem, for lack of a better term. Healthcare costs are rising a lot, as you all know. On the upper right here is it's a graph of the average spending as a percentage of the GDP by country since 1980. The United States is this giant black one, outpacing every other country. We have spent about 17.1% of our GDP is spent on healthcare. The rest of these are other countries that are similar in terms of in terms of being a first world country, for lack of a better term. Uh, France, Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, those types of countries. And you can see they've had a slow increase, but they're all kind of bunched between 8.5% and 11.6%. And here we are at 17.1. So we're 5.5 percentage points higher than the next highest country in terms of our expenditure. Okay, what does that mean? Well, somebody's paying for that. Unfortunately for us, it's mostly the employers and the employees that are ended up picking up the bill of that cost. So you can see that the cost for both employers and employees are rising at about 9% per year. And that's this graph down here. In 1999, the average employer was kicking in about $4,200 a year for healthcare for you per person, and you were at about $1,500, and that'd be for a family. Fast forward to 2011, and that was up to $10,900 for an employer and $4,100 for an employee. And so that's increased about 9% per year, and as of this past year is combined over $17,000 on average being pumped in by the employer and the employee for healthcare premiums, and that's up from $5,800 back in 1999. So it's about triple. If this were the stock market, that'd be awesome. It's not. This is money out of your pockets. Unfortunately, what's happening is healthcare is getting more expensive, and we're the ones that are paying for it. But we're getting healthier, right? No, we're not. We're still not that healthy. So again, here's another chart here. This is the number of Americans with chronic diseases. This is in millions. And so in 1995, there's about 118 million Americans with a chronic disease. Fast forward to 2015, and that number was up to 149. So what is that? A 31 million person increase in the last 20 years. So that number is rising. On the lower right, again, is kind of looking at individual chronic diseases: diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, obesity. Diabetes has increased by 2.5 percentage points in the last 10 years. High cholesterol has gone up about 2 percentage points. Hypertension stayed level. It's not getting better. It's not getting worse. It's 30%. It's pretty high. Obesity has gone from 30.5% up to 35%. So really the only one we're doing, well, I guess there's two that we're doing okay on. That's cigarette smoking is down, good. And more people are meeting their physical activity requirements, but that number is still about 50%. So when you really get down to it, about 50% of individuals in the United States have a chronic disease, and we are far outpacing again those other countries I just compared us to in terms of the number of people with chronic diseases. Finally, most of these conditions are getting more prevalent year over year. So we're spending more and we're actually getting unhealthier. Something's not clicking here. Again, a different way of looking at this is it's the few people that are making healthcare expenditure really expensive. So you could say, well, it's not me, and it's somebody else that's making things so expensive, and that may be true. If you're in the healthiest 50%, you account for about 3% of the healthcare spending in this country. Pretty cheap. If you're in the unhealthiest 50%, that means you account for 97% of the spending. And when you get into the top 5%, they're accounting for about half of it themselves. The top 1% is about 20% of the spending. So what you have is this nice bell curve, not so nice in terms of spending, and there's some sort of tipping point right in through here where people start becoming very unhealthy to manage. Where is that tipping point is the question. Well, you can kind of figure it out right in through there. What are driving costs? Why are costs going up so much for certain people and not for others? And are any of these costs preventable? These are the type of questions I'd ask. These are the type of questions I think anybody with a business background would ask. You don't want to be in this upper 50%. What can we do to prevent that? Another way of putting that is by looking at how much you costs per person with and without chronic diseases. So looking at this upper right graph again, what you have is the annual cost per person for medical expenditures. If you do not have a chronic disease, it's about $850. With one chronic disease, it triples. It goes up to $2,200 to manage that one disease. Two chronic diseases, you're at about $4,200. Three, you're at $6,100. You get the point. 5 chronic diseases, you're up to $12,700 to manage. So just like that last bell curve that I showed you, the expenditures keep going up. What you see is a similar pattern With the more chronic diseases you have, the more expensive you are to manage. Additionally, adherence, once you have chronic diseases that might not be reversible, adherence plays a big factor. So people who do well adhering to their plans, even if they have diabetes, they can save about almost 50%, 48% of the costs can be saved. High cholesterol, the same thing, about 43% of the costs can be saved. But again, a lot of this is driven by people not being adherent to the costs that are being accumulated. Here are a couple other stats for you regarding chronic diseases. People with chronic diseases cost about 5 times as much to treat as those that do not. 75% of our healthcare costs actually end up going to chronic diseases, and 7 out of 10 deaths are caused by chronic disease. So if you're wondering what that bell curve is, where that bell curve is, and what's driving those costs, I think it's pretty easy to say chronic diseases are driving the costs for the most part. 7 out of 10 deaths are caused by them, and 75% of the spending is going to chronic diseases. So the vast majority of our funds are going to chronic diseases. The tragedy of this is that most of these conditions are preventable, or at least a lot of them are. I took this quote because I think this guy can say it better than I can. He's the director of the Chronic Disease and Health Promotion section of the World Health Organization. So his name is Robert Beaglehole, which I think is a great last name. The real tragedy is that more hasn't been done to avoid this epidemic, as overweight and obesity and their related chronic diseases are largely preventable. Approximately 80% of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes, and 40% of cancer could be avoided through healthy diet, regular physical activity, and the avoidance of tobacco use. Let's go over that again. Heart disease is 80% preventable through lifestyle choices. Stroke is 80% preventable through lifestyle choices. Diabetes is 80% preventable through lifestyle choices. And cancer is 40% preventable through lifestyle choices. That means for most of us, we are in control of our own fate when it comes to this stuff. The vast majority of us can completely manage these conditions through decisions we make on a daily basis. So what's your why? Knowing what you know now, the chronic diseases are driving healthcare costs. Healthcare costs are extremely unsustainable. We're the ones shouldering the load. And the result is that people who we love very much and mean very much in our life are leaving us much too soon. My why is that I don't want other people to suffer the same fate that these two wonderful men suffered. I don't want to suffer the same fate they do. I want to make sure I'm in control of everything I can. And now that I know this information, I need to put it to good use. But what's your why? Is it for you? Is it for your children? Is it for your family, your wife, your husband, or your parents? Maybe it's for some other cause. The big picture is that you are responsible for much of this. And that's good news. So what are we going to do about this? One of my favorite quotes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, Ben Franklin. That's really the missing link when we get down to why this is costing us so much. The healthcare system is trying to manage these conditions as people have them. They're not trying to prevent the conditions in the first place. The conditions are largely avoidable, as we just talked about. But if you're not managing or preventing them, once you have them, it becomes a little bit harder. It doesn't become impossible, but it becomes harder. So remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What else are we going to do? Well, here's another quote that I love. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That's by Aristotle. And really, those two quotes are what we're going to do. I'm going to be here as a guide to try to help you, if you wish, to change your habits in some of the areas of your lifestyle, to prevent these types of diseases, to prevent costs being put on you and your employer, but greater picture, making sure that you're living the best version of your life. How are we going to do that? Easy enough. You guys have probably heard this old business adage, what gets measured gets managed. That's what we're going to do. We're going to measure some health-related statistics with you all, and then you're going to come up with some goals on your own, We're going to come up with a way to track those goals, and then we're going to reassess those goals down the line. And the idea is to try to make you guys as healthy as we can. And that's pretty much it. Simple as that. So here are the steps in the process. The first step is, if you so choose to take part in this program, is you're going to fill out a health risk assessment and a work performance questionnaire. Now, the health risk assessment is going to look at just general health, how you're feeling physically, mentally, how you're sleeping, how you're eating, those types of things. I think it's 24 questions. It takes maybe 10 minutes to fill out at most. And then you're going to fill out a work performance questionnaire, which is going to look at how your health habits affect you at work. Now, individually, none of this is going to be given to your employer. This is private information. This is protected by HIPAA. And so I'm going to accumulate this data, and I'm going to look at it kind of, combined with everyone. But individually, this will never be seen by your employer. And so you are protected by that. I don't want you to be nervous about that. But what I want to gather is a baseline of how well you're functioning and how well you're feeling at step one, so we can see if this is helpful for you, if this plan is helpful for you. So the first step is just simply to measure how you're doing, and this is what we're going to repeatedly measure down the line. The second step is for where you all are going to have to make a little bit of an investment up front. Now, hear me out. I know you don't like to spend money, but you can get it back very, very easily. But the second step is to buy an activity device monitor. You can buy a Fitbit, you can buy an Apple Watch, you can buy a Garmin, you can buy a Samsung watch, you can buy a Jawbone. Really, you can buy any of those. I think they're all fine. I put some prices on here of 3 of them. They're all pretty similar, but this is how we're going to monitor your function from day to day. And so it'll be your responsibility to buy something up front. If you already have one, great. You don't have to buy it. You already have it. You've already made that expenditure. It's certainly yours to use. But for those without it and want to take part in this program, you'll have to upfront purchase one of these. And I kept it open. You can buy any one you want because I want you to get the one that you like. I don't want you to get the one I think is good. I think they're all fine. I have an Apple Watch right now, but I started with a Fitbit. I love both of them. I think the Fitbit was a great place to start. I got the cheapest model of the Fitbit, and it did everything that you're going to need for this, and it did everything I thought I really needed. But you're going to acquire an activity device monitor. Now, again, like I said, this is something, the cost of this is going to be absorbed by you if you can hit a couple incentives or goals, and it's really not something that's very hard to do. So before you get sticker shock and think, oh my gosh, I gotta put $200 up front, just realize this is an investment for you, and you can actually make money on this program. Step 3. So step 3 is you're going to get the information back from your health risk assessment and from your work performance questionnaire, and you're going to set 1 to 2 goals. Okay, I might recommend just 1 goal right out of the gate because it's a little bit easier to manage. But if you're really like this idea and you think you can handle 2 goals at one time, that doesn't sound too overwhelming to you, then 2 goals is certainly fine as well. The goals need to be either activity related, food related, or sleep related. The activity monitors that I told you about before will be able to they'll be able to monitor your activity and your sleep. So that's what we're going to use those for, is a nice objective way to do that. You don't have to be writing down in a journal or anything. And actually, there's some really great food-related ways of measurement as well. There's a little bit further detail about what the goals have to be accomplishing. We'll get into that down the road when you're actually at this point. But just realize you can't say, like, I'm going to walk 1 time a month and that be your goal and you hit that. And it's got to be a little bit more intense than that. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but we're basically going to go by the CDC guidelines so that you have something to shoot for in terms of a minimum amount of activity or of dietary plans, that kind of thing. So step 3 is set goals. Step 4 is track goals. Now this is a way you can get your Fitbit or your Apple Watch reimbursed for you. Okay, you're going to wear it just like I wear mine, and hopefully you're going to wear it every single day, and you're going to love it like I do, and it's going to motivate you like mine does. This is the way that you can make money back on this. So what you're going to do is you're going to track whatever goal you make on your device. Okay. With your 1 goal or 2 goals, you're going to track and get reimbursed potentially $10 a month just for tracking 80% of the days. Okay, so if there's 30 days in a month, if you've tracked 24 of the days and you have all the information that you need in there, then you're going to get paid back $10 a month by your company. Okay, easy as that. So if you buy a $70 Fitbit and you make goals and you never achieve them, but you track your progress, you'll pay that thing back in 7 months, and then the rest of that is profit for you. Pretty good investment. But there's more. So you can also earn $10 a month when you achieve your target goal for greater than 80% of the days in any month. So again, let's go back to activity. Let's say you want to walk or be active 30 minutes a day. If you're active 30 minutes a day, 24 of the 30 days in a month, you'll get an additional $10. So you can make up to $20 a month just by wearing this thing and using it. It's pretty great. I wish my company had this because I definitely hit both of those things and I could just, it'd be free money. But it's also fun, and it also gives you motivation, a way to track your goals. So that's step 4. Step 5, we're going to reassess those measures that we took right away. The plan for now is to assess these at 3 months, and to assess them at 6 months, and to assess them at 1 year. So you will take these a couple times. And again, I'm the only one that will have data for you individually, and you'll have your own data. But it'll be a way of kind of measuring your progress and seeing how you're doing related to whatever goal you're trying to achieve. And this will also give us an idea of how much your company and how much you individually are saving on this. And that's it. Simple is beautiful, right? So what's in it for you? Why would you do this? Aside from what we talked about before, I think there's a bigger picture of why you would want to do this, whether it be for your family, your friends, your children, your spouse. There's a lot of incentives to being healthy, but there's some other things that are going to come out of this that will be very good for you personally. One is enhanced mood. I don't care whether you're talking about sleeping, healthy eating, or exercising. There is an unbelievable amount of research behind all of those things for helping you and on how you're functioning and how you're feeling. Exercise is absolutely an antidepressant. In fact, there's multiple studies out there that says exercise is as good as it as an antidepressant and diminishing depressive symptoms. The same is true with anxiety. And so this is one of the best ways to combat your mood. The same is true if you're sleeping regularly and you're eating healthy. There's a gluttony of research out there supporting those and how you feel. And so personally, you're going to get a lot out of this because you're going to feel a lot better and you're going to get paid for it. Productivity. This is your employer. This is why they maybe want to do this a little bit. You're going to be a more productive employee because you're going to feel better. You're going to be happier and you're going to be more clear on your goals, and you're not going to be so tired after work or during work or before work or when you're going to work. Your productivity will increase, and that's good because the more productive you are, the more efficient you are, and you're going to have more time to do those other things you care about, those other whys that we talked about before. But your productivity at work is going to improve. Your energy is going to improve. The same about mood. The same thing that I said about mood can be said about energy. As you exercise more, your energy is actually going to increase. I know it sounds weird. You're burning more energy. How can you possibly feel better after that? But that is exactly what happens. Same with as you eat healthier foods, you won't have those spikes and dips in blood sugar levels, and you'll feel better. Certainly, sleeping is kind of recharging our batteries anyway, so you'll feel better that way. And then finally, you're going to save a lot of money with this. So there's a small upfront cost of actually purchasing your Fitbit or your Apple Watch or your Jawbone or whatever you're going to use. But the money saved is going to be in a variety of ways. We already talked about the incentive program. So you can make $240 a year just from doing that. Just from simply making goals and achieving them, you can pay off an iWatch, which is ridiculous. It's awesome. But it's bigger than that. You're going to be more productive. You're going to make your company more money. Ultimately, that's money in your pocket. The reason your healthcare costs are likely going up higher and higher year over year is because they're looking at you all together, and potentially that you're not getting healthier, you're getting less healthy like the rest of the population, and that's driving some of your healthcare costs. So when your healthcare or when your company goes in and negotiates for your healthcare costs, and they can show that your company is becoming healthier year over year, your healthcare costs will actually stagnate and diminish. So that's going to affect your bottom line because you're not going to have to pay as high of monthly premiums, and your company's not going to have to pay as high of monthly premiums. And then finally, people who feel healthier and feel better, they miss work less, they do better. Your company in general is going to have increased amount of money just from that, just from having you be healthy at work. So several different ways for this to have some benefit for you, on top of the fact that it's going to really help you be the best version of yourself. What if you need help? Well, that's where I come in. So my job is to really help roll up this program and be that resource for you. And there's multiple ways for you to get a hold of me. You can see there's bi-weekly bi-weekly emails that I will send out. This is going to target your specific goal. So if your goal is to exercise more, I will be sending out emails regarding exercise, maybe ways to do it, areas to go, ideas and things you can try to do. And these will be short, relatively specific to your company, about ways you can get yourself exercising more, a little bit of a motivating boost every couple weeks. In addition to that, I'll be available by phone and email 24/7. So can't promise if you call at 4 in the morning I'm going to wake up, but I will get back to you the next morning as soon as I can, as soon as I wake up, which is about 5:45. Email me at any time and I'll get back to you as well. So I'm here as a resource to help you change. I'm going to be in your office 2 hours a week for appointments. So this can be physical therapy related. Obviously, I'm trained to help people who are in pain, but I'm also trained to help people who are deconditioned and starting to work on an exercise program. And I'm a resource for education on people working on healthy eating habits and sleeping habits. Those are things I'm also uncomfortable talking about. So I'm a resource in any of those ways for you. And then finally, as a bit of a motivation, we're going to have a big board put up in your office that's going to track the two ways that you can get your money back, basically, or you can make your money from your company. Well, that's percent usage of your system or of your activity tracker. So there'll be a big board with leaders of that, and then there will be a big board of percentage goal of success. And so what we're shooting for with that is obviously we want everyone to try to hit their goals as close to 100% as we can, and we want to have everybody use them at close to 100% as we can. But this is just a way to kind of motivate you and come up with ways. And the winners of those, or anybody who's over 80% on both of those, will be entered into a drawing, and there will be a lottery at the end of the year for some specific rewards. So that's the program. I hope it sounds simple. I hope it sounds easy. I hope it sounds fun. Again, habit change is one of the hardest things we do as human beings, and it's really not an easy thing to do. But when it's important, and when it aligns with your goals and what you really feel is important, there's really nothing worth more than that. And so I'm here as a resource for you to help you with that. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions, and I look forward to getting started soon. Go Gophers, and row the boat.